There's a story that's happening right now in the LPL, in the Chinese League of Legends pro scene, that's kind of shocking the world. And it comes from an incredibly powerful underdog story. Now, before we touch on that story, we first need to talk about the LPL and its format and how the seeding works for playoffs. So you start off with Group Ascend and Group Nirvana in the regular season. You can think of Group Ascend as kind of like the good teams and Group Nirvana as the weaker teams. They play out their regular season in best of threes, and then the top 4 from Group Ascend immediately move straight into the playoffs, and the bottom 4 from Group Ascend play against the top 4 from Group Nirvana in a best of 5 to decide who joins them in those playoffs. Now, it's called the play-in stage, and you can see here the results of those best of 5s, and you'll notice that every single team from the Group Ascend lost their best of 5 to the Group Nirvana team, except for one. Team WE, formerly known as Team World Elite, managed to win 3-2 against LNG to squeeze into playoffs. Now, in that game 5, they were actually down like 5,000 gold at 22 minutes, and they made a comeback with a really good teamfight scaling comp. But this is kind of where their story begins. Now, this Team WE lineup actually finished last place of Group Ascend, and you can see their record here: 1-13, 7% series win rate, 6 games won, 27 lost. No one really expected much from this team. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I watched all of their games in the LPL because I haven't been covering much LPL this year with it colliding with the LCK times. So I can't exactly give you a massive rundown of how their story went throughout the regular season. But to just sum it up quickly, they finished last in the group. They managed to beat LNG, who was first in that group Nirvana, and they just squeezed their way into the playoffs. So, WE have made it into the playoffs, expectations are low, and BLG, who are the best team in the league, picked to play them in round 1. Should be easy, right? Wrong. The series started off with WE winning the first game, in a pretty convincing fashion, I would say. And then you go into game 2, and there's a BLG lead where you think they're going to snowball and they're going to win, and they're just going to make it so it's a quick game 2 win, and BLG are going to stomp any dreams and hopes that WE would have after getting this fluke win. But even though BLG won that game 2, WE was still making comebacks. BLG maintained the lead and they did win the second game. But all throughout that game, Team WE was coming back in team fights, and there was over 50 kills in that game alone. But you go into that game 3 and WE have the lead, BLG start to come back. It comes down to an Elder Dragon fight where Monkey on Nidalee actually runs straight past Shun, who's looking at the Elder Dragon, into the base of BLG and essentially front doors them and ends the game in their face to put WE up 2-1 in a series against the best team in the LPL. Watching that series just kind of felt like, at what point is BLG going to shrug this off? At what point is BLG going to just start destroying this team who has no chance who they chose? And at what point is BLG just going to close this series out and stop all of these shenanigans from WE? You go into game 4, and it feels like BLG's momentum starting to come back. They're winning team fights, they're scaling well, they're starting to push into the base. Team WE's respawning, and this is what happened next. So, Team WE just beat BLG, the first place team, in a 3-1 fashion, despite being the last place team, who is just a team made of misfits. Now, before we continue with their story, let's talk about some of the players. You've got Urha in support, who was on Weibo Gaming for Split 1, who essentially got kicked after a terrible best of 5 playoffs performance, and then got loaned over to Team WE. You have Cube, the top laner, who used to be on a team called OMG, but when OMG was doing terribly, apparently he actually rage quit the team in the middle of the night and got a lot of flame for it, but Team WE was the only team that actually offered him a chance, and fans weren't very happy with that decision. Cube apologized and cried during many interviews, asking for forgiveness, and he definitely had probably one of the worst performances in the regular season. but now he's starting to turn it around. About is a player who was kind of floating around the LDL, the Chinese Tier 2 Pro League, before he got picked up by Genji Global Academy, where he spent an entire year competing to then move over to Team WE. Now, he did have a relationship before with Monkey, where they used to play on EDG Challengers together, and it was actually Monkey who told Team WE management to get About to join the roster. There was also a tweet from Genji Arnold saying it was crazy that there hasn't been a single international team that's asked about him. I wonder what those GMs do all day, no pun intended, with the About. Then in the mid lane, you've got Commander Karis from Bro, who's now come over to the LPL. Apparently, he is the best player on the team during the regular season, and he's pretty good on champs like Akali and Aurora. And in the jungle, you've got a player called Monkey, who actually got benched this split for just one series. He wants to take some time off and reflect on himself to really think about how to make the team work. He's the shot caller, he's the leader, he's the mental support, he's kind of like the energy and passion of this team as well, and I think he's the player that's stepping up by far the most in Team WE in these playoffs. He's jungling versus players like Shun, he's jungling versus players like Tarzan, and he's just putting up absolutely unreal performances in the early games especially. Now we continue with their story. They've just beaten BLG. They're going to move on to the next round against anyone's legends with powerhouse names like Tarzan and Shanks. As much as BLG lost that series, surely that was a blip on the radar. Team WE, this is the last place team. They just squeezed their way into these playoffs from the play-in stage against a team from Group Nirvana. This is where the story ends, right? Wrong. They managed to beat AL as well off the back of some crazy team fights, and this team's wacky. When we talk about the BLG series, they're front-dooring with Nidalee, they're base-to-base Nexus racing against BLG. In the AL series, you've got Emilio Blasconing flanking and cutting off the enemy team. There's just endless team fights in bot lane with numbers disadvantages, crazy picks here, and I'm not going to sit here and encapsulate all of the reasons why they're good and give you an analysis breakdown of this is why, this is this. But just from the outside, quick pointers, I think their team fights are excellent. I think their drafting solid. I think that their macro is matching some of these top teams where in game states we're a little bit behind. They can trade pretty well. And you can see that their early games have gotten better, mainly off the back of Monkey. And this team just feels like they're on a run. They've got something behind them. They've got momentum. They've got belief. All of the players are bought into this idea, this style that they've adopted, and this passion that you can feel from them as this underdog team that's just making this run through the playoffs, where now they're one series away from making MSI. This is Team WE. This is World Elite. They haven't been on the international stage for I don't know how many years, 8, 9 years. And now this team of misfits, of players who teams didn't want, of players who were never really on anyone's radar, have just come out and done the unthinkable from having one of the worst regular seasons possible, really. They got one win. I think the beauty sometimes with League Esports and probably in sports as well is sometimes there's just that team or that player, or it's that time of the year where the unexpected happens and the team that's not supposed to win and is the underdog and no one really believes in them. They don't really have the player caliber to match up against these top teams. They haven't really shown anything out of the ordinary or any kind of team play that'll make it viably reasonable to actually say that they do have a chance. Where something clicks, there's just that level of momentum. You can feel it. It's like that passion is oozing through your screen and you can just see it's an unstoppable force that's impossible to kind of put your finger on. It's like a lightning in a bottle. You can't really quantify it or measure how they're doing it or why it's happening. But you just have to kind of sit there and enjoy the ride. And I love these kind of stories. They're my favorite. Whether it's a small run or a gigantic miracle run, watching it unfold is just some of the best viewing entertainment experiences in League Esports. And how far will this Team WE run go? I don't know. I hope it does go as far as possible, because watching this run unfold is just another reason why you can never really fully count a team out, despite, regardless of how much their back's against the wall, the bounce back possibilities are endless. And I love underdog stories. I'm a sucker for an underdog story. Their series against Top Esports is on Sunday, the 7th of June at 11 AM CEST, if you want to follow on their journey in the LPL. I think the LPL is always crazy to watch. Some of the games are just bloodbaths. They're just messy. There's a lot of throws. There's a lot of catches. And yeah, how far will Team WE story go? Well, I'll let you know for sure. Maybe when I do my MSI team rundown, you'll hear me say the seeding for the LPL teams, and it might be Team WE. But I think no matter what, their story already is amazing. They've already solidified themselves as minimum top 3. They are minimum top 3 in the LPL, despite being the worst placed team in their group. Maybe they make it to MSI. We'll see how far they can go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this quick rundown. I haven't actually co-streamed all of their games, so I thought I would make a standalone video about them because I thought this story was awesome. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll keep you guys updated.